Right folks, welcome to this exciting video where you once again join me in the wild landscape of Scotland. And for today's adventure, we're actually at the junction on the Montrose to Forfar road here. It's a busy road and it's the junction next to Bonnyton Castle, because I've actually come to document a cool piece of history. It's an old Scottish castle location which is nearly gone and nearly forgotten. So I thought with today's video it would be so cool to come and document it on the channel, because as you know, we've actually visited so many of the Scottish castles. So today I thought it'd be epic to come and document Bonnyton Castle location. And there is actually an old like croft house cottage down in the field as well. In this area here to my right, this is where the actual old castle remains is, folks. You can kind of see it over here, and you would have no idea because over the years the castle remains has actually disappeared, obviously with agricultural and farming and stuff on the land. So to the farmer and the landowner, I come with the greatest respects here. I would never be coming into this field unless it was just the stubble, because I'm always respectful of that on these adventures. Today is just the perfect opportunity. Before he ploughs it and reseeds it, we can walk over and take a look at this history. You can kind of see a circle of trees here and a level piece of ground, and that's actually the original site of Bonnyton Castle. And then look at this mound of stones here in front of me. That was actually where the old ducat of the castle used to be. And this castle dates back to like the early 1600s. I believe it's 1609. And some of the original castle stones actually still remains in the walls of the farm. And I'll take a walk up by the roadside and try and see that once we take a look at this here. So check it out folks, this must have been the old ducat in relation to the castle. And I have driven past here for years looking at this site, and I've always wanted to come and document it. But the farmer's always so quick at reseeding the field after he combines. I've never had the opportunity. So that's why today I just thought it would be cool to come and see this. It's almost like a little window of opportunity. And the weather's just absolutely perfect. It has actually been frosty at nights and stuff. It's real autumn conditions in Scotland. But see, midday, it's t-shirt weather out here, and it's just the best conditions, folks, for an adventure. The sun's shining. And just look at this land. Imagine when there was a big grand castle here standing in the land. Apparently in the 1800s, the foundation stones of the castle were still visible. But I'm guessing back in the 1800s, this little cottage here must have been inhabited, maybe lived in. This was maybe a little individual farm croft, and then as the years progressed, the farm maybe got made bigger, and that's when they would have built the new Bonnyton farm here at the roadside. So the cool and interesting thing about this castle is it actually used to have a moat. There was like a large deep ditch that used to go around the outside of it, and I believe that's why we can potentially see such a mad kind of ridge in the land leading right around here. Apparently in the written history of this place that it definitely had that around it, like a moat. And it's just crazy to be once again in the heart of this history. Look at this here folks, the wee cottage house. On its own that would be a cool little building to visit and document, but then to think of the history of the castle, it just makes it so special to be here. Wow folks, check it out, real history once again on this week's videos, and this is just incredible to see it. Never documented before on the channel, and I can actually see this has been the original building, and then it's had this secondary bit added onto it at a later time, probably in the 18 or early 1900s. So yeah, it looks like this house has actually been stayed in into the 1900s. I've got the windsock on the camera. It's not actually too windy, but it does stop the worst of the gusts blowing through. Wow, check this out. Just think, this is the old castle moat leading around here, and this is where the castle foundations must have originally been. Maybe these stones that this house is made of were also originally from the old castle. Wow, what an adventure folks, coming into places like this. Let's have a wee look at it. Whoa, what a crazy scene. It's got a wee fireplace. Everything's so extremely overgrown at this time of year, but it's cool that I can keep coming and making these adventures possible. So we can see on these ancient walls that the original white limestone render there would have been the original finish within the building. And then in the 1800s you can see they've put in this wood. Look at the old square nails. And that was when they would have put wooden lath over here and then plastered it. And that was often what was done at that time. And that gives you an essence of the era. You can tell from what they've been doing in here what sort of time it was occupied. And look, this must have been maybe the original kitchen at this end and the big range, or the bigger fire. And then there's been a small fireplace here, but I can see now there's like a bigger cooking range at the far end, and that must have been when they extended this building. They probably put in a state-of-the-art kitchen. Wow, I'm not even sure what these conditions are like here, folks, because this is obviously an old moat. How cool is that, eh? It's like a little abandoned cottage on the site of an old castle. It's like layer upon layer, hundreds of years of history, and we're witnessing it here on the channel, folks. Because of the autumn sun, the shadows at a low angle at this time of year. Wow, I'm fighting through this long grass right here. Yes, I'm just about there. I'm wanting to have a look in this window. Check it out, folks. Wow, look how cracked the wall is. Yeah, look, there's the cooking range that I was saying about. That's mad. That's so cool. Let's take a closer look. Since I've come this far, folks, let's document the old cooking range. Wow, I mind my granny used to have a fire like this in one of her houses. It's crazy to see the condition of this thing. It's almost like it's been one of those stone slab roofs in here, and when it's come down, it's come clattering down. Maybe as the building was settling. You can see the old upstairs window there, it's been bricked up. Wow, this is so cool, folks. I just love going on adventures like this. The conditions today are just perfect. Imagine what went on in these houses, say like early 1900s, late 1800s. Think of the conversations that were had. Wow, so cool. Anyway, let's keep this moving. Look at that, there's some big... Oh, that's the old weights. These weights used to be for like the sash windows, and they were tied to these ropes. Look at that, hey, the last remains of the window frames. As the wood above rots out, these stones have all kind of fallen. And that's how, when I'm exploring these sites, I'm often careful not to disturb them any worse than what they are. Look at this, the old wooden wall. You can imagine the whole house would have been lined like that at this end. Yeah, so it's no been wooden lath at this end, it's been that. This is obviously a far newer wall, that's what I'm thinking, into the early 1900s. And these windows would have had the wooden shutters. Wow, folks, what a scene of history once again on the channel. Yeah, check this out here, like the wee water pipe still coming out of the wall. Wow, that was so cool. I'm glad that I headed over here for a proper look. At this end of the house, look, you get an idea of how at one time it's had this Harlan stuff on it to cover the red stonework. Wow, I'm trying not to get any of those massive spiders on me. See, at this time of year, folks, you get those massive spiders that drape between the branches of the grass and the thistles, and when they land on you, well, when they jump on you, they're just massive beasts. But yeah, there we go, folks. Not only the history of this wee cottage, but the incredible story of this abandoned castle of Angus. Hardly known about, hardly seen. And it's Bonnyton Castle. And the cool thing, like, there's a lot of Bonnytons in Angus. I ken about three Bonnytons at least. So it's obviously a popular name for an area back in the day. Anyway, folks, how cool was that? A mad bit of history, and abandoned castles is some of my favourite history to cover on this channel, and trying to document all the castles of Angus from all eras. Just think the ancient times of the early 1600s, it's just a madness. things like this with a moat around it for genuine defence. Sometimes these places were the front line of battles. Some of the biggest wars probably getting fought in the world back at that time was in areas like this. Whereas now it's a peaceful piece of agricultural land. Once again, it's just mad. Anyway, I'm going to head up to the roadside and we'll try and look at these old original stones from the castle. So at a certain time in history, all castles and big houses had to have a ducat for the collection of the pigeon droppings. And it was for the navy and the military. They used to use an ingredient from the pigeon droppings for their gunpowder. That was back in the days when the ships were massive wooden constructions. The cannons would have lined the sides of them. And that's the reason that we see ducats at sites like this of the old historical castles. And it's cool just to see that pile of stones there. That's a scar or skeleton of the former ducat. And one of the few remaining pieces of Bonnyton Castle, apart from the scar of the moat. And yeah, you can just kind of see it. It's set here within these lands of Angus, and it's decent level agricultural land. Probably back in the day there would have been some fields around the original castle as well. So check it out here, folks. This is one of the old farm buildings at the side, and this actually features some of the original stones from the castle, and it goes hardly seen and hardly documented. This road's so dangerous here, and look, there's no much for me to stand on. Look at this, on the end of this building you can see it. The stones actually have got, I'm sure written on them somewhere, 1609. There was two fancy stones in the middle there, but also these faces which are also on the building. And then these detailed like end carved stones. And that's one of the interesting old pieces of the castle that remains left here for the memory. And it is good that they've included them in the current building. Anyway folks, let's head on. Look at this folk, the farmer's got a wee sign up for his vehicles crossing. It's quite a good idea that, he's got a beacon on it connected to a car battery there. And that's obviously because this is the heart of the harvest time here in Scotland. The farmers are super busy. That's how I was a bit wary parking like at the edge of this farm. I just tried to squeeze my car out of the way so I didn't upset any farmers. Shout out if this is your farmer. Obviously I've come with the greatest respect here, documenting another one of Scotland's castles, hardly seen, and it's the first time documented on the channel here, so yeah, it's special. So that's me back to the car, folks. Not only was it cool to see this castle location here and document it in the land, it was also amazing to see that wee cottage and just think of the history of that as well. And it's both things that we've never seen before on the channel, and that's what I love with these adventures. Every week, new places, new castles or new houses that we've never documented before, never seen. Anyway, I'm ending it here. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with the next adventure, wherever I end up going.